Welcome to Getting Warmer with George Warmer. In these videos, I hope to answer some of the more common questions I receive in my field of work. Today's topic is consulting and lease negotiation. If you are an experienced commercial real estate agent, more than 50% of your work is probably in leasing. As an experienced commercial real estate agent, I have the ability to analyze both leases, market trends, and negotiation of leases themselves. Recently, I had the fortunate opportunity to assist a long-term client of mine. She had normally reached out and negotiated her lease with her tenant, but she knew the market was ever shifting and wanted to know where the current rates were and if the structure of her lease was favorable to her. In her particular case, the market had shifted and rates had gone up, and she had a preferred location in Billings. The structure of her lease was basically a modified gross lease, where the tenant was paying base rent plus utilities. Unfortunately, in this situation, my landlord was responsible for the other operating expenses such as taxes and insurance, and as we know, those expenses only go up. So first and foremost, we had to look at what the competition was. So we went up and down the street and looked for similar properties and what their lease rates were. Fortunately, we have a broad database of that information available to us here at Coldwell Banker Commercial CBS. Once I'd analyzed the competition, I was able to help my client identify the best base rent that we thought the market would absorb. In addition, I proposed that we restructure the lease to a triple net lease so that the property taxes, insurance, and snow removal, landscaping, and other minor repairs were the responsibility of the tenant. The lease was up in about 6 months, which brings up another important point. Do not wait to engage with your tenant. Trust me, your tenants are thinking about their lease. They know when their lease expires. Come to us, let us engage with those tenants early. We're going to do two things. One, we're going to find out the motivations of that tenant, and if it's their intent to leave, we now have a run path to do work, market the property, and get a new tenant. If the tenant wants to stay, we have an opportunity to negotiate with that tenant and find the best structure that will work particularly for the landlord, but also for the tenant. What's another important factor in leasing? Well, the lease really drives the value of the building. If we had a modified gross lease, as was the case in the deal I was negotiating, the investor looking at this property down the road is going to have a more difficult time identifying how to value the property. Also, there's more risk to the investor because property taxes and insurance go up, and they're going to have to absorb that. By restructuring to a triple net lease, all of those obligations, the operating expenses, lay on the tenant. It's a much cleaner transaction for the investor, and they can apply the appropriate cap rate. In this particular deal, we were able to renegotiate the structure of the lease, make it a triple net lease, secure a 3-year term with annual escalators. And as we know with inflation, it is very important that we get escalators built into the lease because today's dollars have a different value than tomorrow's dollars. These are just a few kernels that I'd like to share with you today. If you'd like more information or like us to evaluate your property, please feel free to reach out to me for a free consultation. Remember, the structure and the cash flow will determine the value of the property, particularly to an investor. So by successfully negotiating the deal up front with the tenant, we can significantly increase the value of the real property itself. I hope this small video has been helpful to you today, and I look forward to visiting with you next month. Have a warmer day.